Imagine waking up in a city that's already a graveyard, where the air is thick with the screams of the dying and the thunder of bombs raining from the sky. What if your fight for freedom became a slaughterhouse, with your supposed allies watching from afar as your world burned to ash? This is the nightmare of the Warsaw Uprising in 1944, when brave Poles rose against Nazi tyranny, only to face one of history's most brutal defeats. Over 200,000 souls lost, a city reduced to rubble, and a betrayal that still echoes through time. It's a story of unimaginable courage turned to tragedy, where heroes fought with homemade weapons against tanks and the world turned a blind eye. Hi everyone, and welcome back to History Calling, where I bring you new videos every Friday, delving into the dark corners of the past. Today, we're uncovering the horrific devastation of the Warsaw Uprising, Poland's desperate bid for liberation during World War II that ended in catastrophe. Why is this so fascinating and horrifying? It wasn't just a military failure, it was a political massacre, with Stalin's Soviets halting their advance to let the Nazis crush the Polish resistance, ensuring communist control post-war. We'll explore the mysteries of betrayal, the tragic human cost, and the myths that have shrouded this event. Like the idea that the Allies could have saved Warsaw if they tried harder. But was it truly inevitable? Or was there a sinister hand guiding the destruction? Stay tuned to uncover the brutal truths. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button with notifications on so you never miss a dive into history's shadows. Let's set the stage in 1944 in a Poland crushed under the Nazi jackboot for 5 years. World War II is at its peak, and Warsaw, once a vibrant capital, is a city of ghosts. The Nazis have turned it into a fortress of oppression, with the Jewish ghetto already annihilated in 1943, its survivors murdered or deported. The Polish Home Army, the Armia Krajowa, is the heartbeat of resistance, a clandestine force loyal to the Polish government in exile in London. These were ordinary people, teachers, students, shopkeepers, turned fighters, driven by a dream of freedom. But they faced a monstrous enemy. The German Wehrmacht, battle-hardened and armed with tanks, artillery, and air support. The political context is a tangled web of hope and betrayal. By 1944, the Soviet Red Army is advancing from the east, pushing the Germans back. The Poles see a chance to liberate Warsaw before the Soviets arrive, proving their independence and securing a free Poland. But Stalin has other plans. He wants Poland under his thumb, not as a free nation, but as a Soviet satellite. The Home Army, led by General Tadeusz Komorowski, knows the risks, but believes action is now or never. As one Polish fighter, Jan Nowak, wrote in his memoir, Courier from Warsaw, "We could not wait for the Russians to save us. We had to fight for our city, our honor, our future." This wasn't just a local rebellion, it was a desperate gamble against two giants, Nazi Germany and the looming Soviet shadow. Myths persist that the uprising was spontaneous, a chaotic outburst of rage. Not true. It was meticulously planned, with weapons smuggled, tunnels dug, and fighters trained in secret. Yet, from the start, the odds were horrific. The Home Army had pistols, Molotov cocktails, and courage. But no heavy weapons, the Nazis had everything else. Picture this: August 1st, 1944, 5:00 p.m., coded as Woo Hour. Warsaw explodes into action. Church bells ring, signaling the start. Young men and women, some barely teenagers, pour into the streets, clutching homemade grenades and stolen rifles. The Home Army seizes key districts, capturing bridges, post offices, and power stations. For a moment, hope burns bright. The red and white Polish flag flies again, a defiant middle finger to the swastika. Civilians cheer, joining the fight, building barricades from furniture and cobblestones. As Komorowski later wrote, "The city was ours, if only for a day." But it gets worse, far worse. The Nazis, caught off guard, regroup with terrifying speed. Hitler, enraged, orders Warsaw's total destruction. SS General Erich von Dambach-Zalewski takes command. His forces, including the brutal Dirlewanger Brigade, made up of criminals and psychopaths, unleash hell. Tanks roll in, flattening homes. Luftwaffe planes bomb hospitals and schools. The Poles fight back with ferocity, holding neighborhoods for weeks. In Wola, a working-class district, the resistance is fierce, but the Nazis respond with a massacre. Between August 5th and 7, they slaughter 40,000 civilians, men, women, children, shot, burned alive, or bayoneted. A German officer's report, cited in Normandy Rising 44, described it as a bloodbath breaking. The Home Army hinged on Allied support. They expected airdrops from the British and Americans, and for the Soviets, just across the Vistula River to join the fight. But the Allies are stretched thin, their planes unable to reach Warsaw reliably. Stalin, meanwhile, stalls. His Red Army halts at the river, watching as Warsaw burns. Radio messages from the Home Army, preserved in Polish archives, beg for help. We are alone. Where are our allies? Stalin even denies Allied planes permission to land on Soviet airfields, crippling relief efforts. Was this deliberate betrayal? Historians like Antony Beevor argue yes, citing Stalin's orders to let the Poles fail. The uprising, meant to last days, drags into weeks, then months, as supplies dwindle and bodies pile up. Midpoint break. If you're gripped by this tragedy, consider supporting the channel on Patreon. Link in the description. It helps me keep these stories alive, and check out my Week 2 playlist for more tales of courage and loss. Now back to the horror. The climax is a descent into apocalypse. By September, the uprising is crumbling. The Nazis methodically raze Warsaw, block by block, using flamethrowers and dynamite. Civilians hide in sewers, choking on filth and fear as SS troops hunt them like rats. The Home Army fights on, but starvation and exhaustion take hold. Children smuggle food through rubble. Mothers bury their dead in courtyards. One survivor, Zofia Naukowska, wrote in her diary, "The city screams and the world is deaf." Her words, published in medallions, capture the despair. On October 2nd, 1944, after 63 days, Komorowski surrenders. The Nazis agreed to treat fighters as prisoners of war, a rare concession. But civilians aren't so lucky. Over 150,000 are deported to death camps like Auschwitz, or forced into slave labor. The death toll is staggering. 180,000 to 200,000 Poles, mostly civilians, killed. The Nazis lose 17,000 men, a fraction of the cost. Then comes the final cruelty. Hitler orders Warsaw's annihilation. Buildings are burned, monuments toppled, libraries and churches reduced to ash. By January 1945, 85% of Warsaw is rubble, a ghost city of smoking ruins. Was Soviet inaction a calculated betrayal? Evidence points to yes. Stalin's correspondence, uncovered in Soviet archives, shows he dismissed the uprising as reckless and refused aid to weaken the non-communist Home Army. Myths claim the Allies abandoned Warsaw entirely, but that's not quite true. British and American pilots flew dangerous missions, dropping supplies, though most fell into German hands. The real betrayal was Stalin's, ensuring Poland's resistance was crushed before his takeover. The Warsaw Uprising's legacy is a wound that never healed. It didn't just destroy a city, it reshaped Poland's future. The Home Army's defeat cleared the way for Soviet domination, installing a communist regime that lasted until 1989. Yet, the uprising's courage inspired future resistance, like the Solidarity movement, which helped topple communism decades later. Today, Warsaw stands rebuilt, its old town a UNESCO site, but scars remain in memorials and survivors' stories. Hollywood often romanticizes WWII resistance, but the uprising isn't a feel-good tale. Films like Uprising, 2001, capture the bravery, but gloss over the betrayal's complexity. The real lesson Courage can't always overcome politics. Stalin's inaction wasn't just strategic, it was a moral failure. A reminder that power often trumps humanity. In my opinion, the uprising's tragedy lies in its futility. Heroes fought, died, and were erased, yet their defiance planted seeds of freedom. What do you think? Could the Allies have done more, or was Warsaw doomed? Comment below. The Warsaw Uprising is a tragic reminder of what happens when courage meets betrayal. Ordinary Poles fought like titans, only to be crushed by Nazi brutality and Soviet indifference. Their city was obliterated, their dreams buried in rubble, but their resilience echoes in Poland's rebirth. This isn't just history, it's a warning about the cost of power and the price of freedom. Thanks for watching, history lovers. If this moved you, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell. For more dark tales, share your thoughts in the comments. What's another WWII story you want me to cover? Support the channel on Patreon, or check out my WWII playlist, linked below. Next time, we'll dive into another forgotten tragedy. Until then, keep exploring history.